Hello everybody, welcome back as ever to Building Blocks, where we go Minecraft mods live on camera. And, oh, we have some stuff to do today. So, I might be slightly off today because I got some really bad news from the Gender Dysphoria service about how I've got another 2 years to wait before the first appointment. So, don't worry about that too much, but yeah. So, anyways, what we did last time is relatively easy to show off. We developed a way to get our creep to flow around. Oh, thank you for that, Burra. We developed a way to get our creep to flow around, to identify like doorways and whatnot, and then to also not continue to try to spread out from doorways. And I've also done a little bit more visual work on the creep, so it
Big one-o. I can't believe I've been here this long.
I mean, talk to Purr, they've been here much longer, but thank you very much, Dusty, always appreciate it, always. Don't mind that, it's nothing. So, we plonk this down, and out it spreads, and we can see we've got a much, like, variety of visuals now. And we might even see a few more pop up if we wait long enough. There we are. So yeah, we now have the glowing creep, which also has little mushrooms just hanging out on it. There's a version for the floor as well as the ceiling, so we'll probably see more of that popping up as we are moving around in here. And some parts have these vines crawling up the edge. There's this buttressing as well when it's on the floor, so it all looks neatly connected together and whatnot. It looks quite nice. It has very good visual diversity, which is important when you're coating an entire base in the same block. So that's good. Burr's not even the one who's been here the longest. No, I think that might be Resender, that might be Wolfram. I'm not 100% certain. Couldn't tell you. But yeah, so it's looking pretty nice. Yep, there's some ceiling mushrooms right there. Maybe they shouldn't look like that, but they do. So bleh. And that is all model work for the most part. There's like a good dozen or so different models being used to generate these block states now, but they look pretty nice, and I do like that they have little witch particles when they turn up. It broke the fence? Yeah, it broke the fence because the fences have very lackluster programming on what they should connect to. The glass panes, the fences, they do the same thing. So, but yeah, looking quite nice in here, actually. I've had a few people say that they'll be happy just to, like, allow this to happen so that they can just, like, enjoy the aesthetic kind of thing, and yeah, I can kind of agree. There's definitely a kind of aesthetic to that. Like that's nice, but that's not the only thing that we managed last time. So last time we were working with our heat map. This is the reorganized heat map. It was previously just the 0 to 15 data values for the dies, and those are not in any kind of order. So now we actually have an ordering to them, so that's very helpful. Makes it so that we know more about what's actually going on, and through that we are able to develop a heat map like this. Now this particular one is going through a cycling. It's averaging them out around according to their neighbors, and that's one way to identify the hottest areas, as it were, but we're looking for something a bit more intelligent than that. And the goal here is that we need to use the heat map that we get from this to identify different rooms and zones that we can also actually, like, place things in. So right now that's not quite working as effectively as we'd like, but unless our creep does at least look pretty. It's not doing anything right now, but it looks pretty. So if we just clear that out, I have a new build over here. So we're sort of like increasing in complexity here. We started with that, which was our basic, can it fill this like trough? And then we had a basic starter kind of home there that somebody might actually build. And then we had something more on the order of what I might build here. Now this isn't like the best I've ever done, but nonetheless, it should be sufficient demonstration. Because currently, if we just went by our really hot rooms kind of idea, then this room in here would be all one room. And if there was like actual sections to this after that, it would just be one room. The whole base would just be one room. If you had an open plan base, it's all one room. according to that system, because there's nothing to actually prevent different sections of creep from clipping together as there was in the other one where there was doors. So, here we have a test of that, and we can see exactly how that spreads through. It might take a while though, because this is a big place. Lang just puts the creep in the hubris. Oof, imagine. Hubris was huge. Although hubris was also, like, mostly in the air, so I imagine there would be, like, quite a bit of it that would never be touched by creep. Okay, so there we have that. So you can see it's missed this area out, despite the fact that there's glass and lava above, because it can still technically see the sky. I've tested this stuff out in the Nether, and it actually has some very interesting effects there, which are related to the exact same code. But, yep, there we go. So we can see that it is tending to cluster around the middle there of that big open area, which is more or less what we'd expect, except that we still actually want to see distinguished rooms. So, apropos this was look neat in the well? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep, hello building, regenerating the original heat map. Yeah, we don't really want to be seeing that. We want to be seeing actual enclosures, and we probably need to start actually checking air, because right now we're not really doing that. So, So then we just check like certain areas that have like the smallest amount of neighbors of air. I don't know. Like we wanna try and think of like apoptosis. If anybody knows what apoptosis is, because it's something I learned from an anime one time. When the human hand is developing in the womb, it starts out basically like a spatula. The cells like grow and they go to like about there, and then what happens is the cells along the lines of your fingers systematically die. They are put there purely to die so that you can actually have your fingers, so that your body can like grow the rest of you whilst it's like before it's ready to have individual fingers flailing about, that kind of thing. We kind of want to have a system like that. So we have the creep that goes all the way out, and then we need to systematically cut the areas that seem the most plausible to cut in order to actually like generate distinct rooms. That's terrifying. I always thought that was interesting. There are cells that exist purely for a structural purpose, essentially, and then once that purpose is fulfilled, they're cast off because they then become a hindrance, essentially. Terrifying. To each their own, I guess. To each their own. Okay. But yeah, other than that, I haven't been doing very much tinkering this past week. Yeah, I haven't been doing very much tinkering. So, we've got our heat map. We can try identifying rooms based on where the hottest parts are, and then we'll frequently only get one, maybe two zones. We can try identifying rooms based on the highest points in regions, but that still is only currently based on how do I put this? That still is only based on like what rooms have the most exposed pieces of creep. Because in that like big column that we see there, especially as well as in the dome shape of the second structure that we tested, we still ended up with hot points really very much close to the center and not really anywhere else. And that's not like a scaled system, those are actually like just 0 to 15, which more or less 15 is brown and should never be seen, but nonetheless. Feeling restless and a little bit useless? Aww. Despondent would be my description, I guess. Having attention issues today, so we don't know. I actually got like news from the mental health service with regards to my ADHD diagnosis as well today, and that wasn't great either. That was, we lost your paperwork, so we figured you didn't want to continue. There's a pattern here. Can you see it? Anyways, so we've phased everything. I've also tidied up the code a bit, so all the rifts now actually share code, which is great, very helpful. Same with like block rift, it's very cleaned up now, so I can actually walk straight through them and all sorts, so yay. So here's spreading the creep until it's complete, and then we clean it of all of the places that we registered for spreading but didn't actually place creep at, so the doorways and such that we passed through. And then we need to refine the heat map, and then we get that nice little like heat map display above us. So the heat map visual is generated after all the spreading's done, which was necessary because I kept having moments where it would spread onto the roof because there was now coverage from the sky and such. So, yeah. You were gonna call the doctors? Oh dear, Marsh. You might want to put like a reminder down to do that next time. Now there's a thing that we need to check. Let me show you what exactly is up with the Never, and I can explain it there. Because there's a weird situation with regards to the Never, and it's related to this function right here, can see sky. That one right there causes problems. Get to go to the library? Ooh. Enjoy. I haven't been in a library in years. Weirdly, I've learned more about libraries in the last few years than I have been in them. Okay, so here's a Never hive. This is a test that I ran, because I figured dropping these into the Never, they'll just spread basically wherever they like forever. And it turns out that's not the case. Because the first few dozen times I tried it, nothing happened. And then, what happened when it finally worked was this. So, that's what I expected would happen. Obviously, there's a lot of mushrooms, because it's very dark. The mushrooms spawn expressly where it's too dark. But then there's also spots like right over here, where it only spawns sparsely because those are the parts that can survive being, that can tolerate being in the sunlight. So there's clearly something going wonky here. And it has to do with how the Never describes what is exposed to the sky, and evidently it does not do so consistently. Have to do an errand because you have to resign your... Oh, I see. Well, good luck with that then, for her. Yeah, I expect the zombie pigmen here are very confused, but they seem to be dealing with it okay, so that's good. We're not, like, messing up our, actual, like, pathing and any point with the mobs. Thank you for that, Soul. Twitch Prime. Ooh. Remember, folks, if you subscribe to me using your Twitch Prime sub, then you're giving me just a teeny bit of Jeff Bezos' money. Just a teeny bit. But yeah, like you can see over here, literally eventually I just grabbed this, which just places creep everywhere around me, ran around, and it eventually managed to start spreading over here. But all the way through here, not a single thing, pretty much. Like, so many failures of that. So there was clearly something going wrong. And, now it very much seems like there's something very specific to how the Never does things, and that we could theoretically have that problem resolved for the Never, but that might not resolve it for other dimensions. So in theory, we need to ideally have an actual hard case solve for, is there too much, like, area empty above us, that kind of thing. Because we also really ideally want to have them functioning below the glass and the lava and such. Hey Ron, how you doing? Tune in to hear about taking Bezos' money. Good. Oh yes. Welcome, V-Bud. If you subscribe with Twitch Prime, I get a teeny bit of Jeff Bezos' money. What was he recently, like, in the news for? He donated less money. He made a big show of donating a lot of money to, like, the Australian Wildfire Relief Fund. And he donated less than someone generated in about, like, a few hours by selling nudes on Instagram. And less than a bunch of guys playing Super Mario really fast on stream. Like... yeah, 690k, that's what he donated. And it is about as much as he makes in... what is it, like 3 minutes? Just... saw them on Twitter? I guess when it was Instagram. Anyways, like, irrelevant. The point being that people actually working hard have donated more than he has, and he's literally the richest human being in history. It's like, it was just a laughable sum. Of, like, he could probably wipe out the whole problem with a wave of his hand, and he just, like, blinks, maybe. Anyways. So that's the problem that we need to fix. But that is not our major problem for today, because we're still testing with overall cases. So, yay! Alright. And again, that problem is probably related to this, which is related to getting the chunk in the world, and it's clearly not just getting it from like the overworld or something, because something's clearly wrong on a much more grand scale. Sold them on both? Okay. Only know that because her tweet showed up on your timeline. Yeah, and then she got banned from like Twitter or Instagram or both, I don't recall which. It's just like, she's doing this for charity in the most harmless possible way, and it's, hey boy. Evil is having that much money? Yeah, there is no ethical means by which to be a billionaire. There might be, some point in the future, but there is none right now. Just listening in while grinding events? Oh, okay. Oh, no, are you playing Final Fantasy XIV or something else? Anyways, so this is the function that I generated that tracks the heat map and decreases its resolution, so we get that nice little like decaying visual above. But that's not really actually very helpful because we need to identify specific points and rooms and such. So what I think would be good is to actually start generating an air map, and if we can find a spot that has say less than 4 surrounding points, or less than say 3 maybe even, or 5 or less would be a wall. So a point, suffice to say, then we should add that to a list and start identifying that, and that should give us basically a hollow map of the whole place. So we need to firstly stop using that because that's not going to help us. So public void generate air map. So for every block position that we have in our hive blocks list, my typing might be a little off. I'm actually throwing my gloves for the first time in ages because it gets a little cold in here. Okay, so first thing that we know is that if we have a hive block there, then we know that it's already like a space that we can count. It's part of our occupied volume. So let's get ourselves a list. So volume blocks equals new array list. If get world is hive at, that's a function I've already generated, in fact, is hive at pos and get world, then volume blocks, add that pos. Okay. So we're just going to try and use the actual hive spaces to generate that. We don't want to be using the jumping points, I guess we'd call them. Not the best kind of day? Yeah. My neck is like messed up today, I don't know why. Main problem with the English version is the BS rate drops that are lower than the JP ones. Okay. Oh, Fate, Grand Order, and Crossing Void. Okay, alright. I don't think I've ever played that one. Okay. So now we want to go around and actually check any blocks in the connection with that are air, and add those to our volume blocks as well. So for enum facing offset, enum facing values, we want all of them. If get worlds is air block, pos.offset in that direction, then volume blocks add pos.offset in that direction. There. Okay, that gives us our first check. So let's just actually generate that. So every block position that we found in that list, set the block states, volume.up 25 is what I usually go for. Blocks dot, I guess, packed ice default state, something that isn't going to cause too much problem. There we go. Okay, so we clean the map. We clean the hive, and then we list our air map. That'll be the starting point for us to actually get a decent volumetric view. Boomers should not be teachers. I don't know, because they'll. If I, on the one hand, I can think of many reasons for them not to be. On the other hand, my brother's a teacher, and he's a millennial, but also he's my brother, and I know him. Just, making a farmhouse on the server. Ooh, reminds me, I need to get back to the Patreon Minecraft server. Listen, like we need to start doing stuff more on that again. A lot of stuff hoping to happen for the Patreon this year. Your dad's been giving you a hard time about A levels. Ooh, yeah, it is about that time, isn't it? It's actually portfolio day today. A lot of my university peers have been in that. Okay, so let's see what space we're dealing with here. And there's ostensibly all of the ice. Now, why did it generate the stained clay here as well? Ah, because it did that. That's why. Okay, well that gives us some information anyways. So, all of the stained clay is where we actually have hive, and then all of the packed ice is where there's air. It's interesting that we don't have... I guess it's because we don't have any hive here. So because there's no hive, we're only getting one level deep. So we need to actually be iterating through that list to hopefully fill up the whole thing. We need to do that until we fail to find anything. But okay, that's a start. So let's see, generate air map, there you are. So let's get our list there, good. And then boolean found equals false, while found. We just repeat that until we can no longer find any more. And if we found anything, do I want to? What do I do there? If it's hive there, then we want to go for. Oh wait, no, that's. Okay, volume blocks. Add all from hive blocks. Key set. So it starts out with all of them. Okay. So it already knows those. And then, if we find anything, we need to set found to true. And at the start of every loop, we set it to false. So until it fails to find anything new. So if volume blocks contains pos.offset, offset, yes. Make sure we don't just end up in an infinite loop there by making sure that we only add things we don't recognize yet. And I should probably at that point actually store that. Just because I'm calculating it enough times. If you're calculating something more than once, you should probably put it in a variable. There. So it loops through, gets through all the neighbors, and that should hopefully mean that we actually get a full, solid chunk in the air. And I'm going to change that to stained glass, just so we get a bit more of a visual. And I think white's in our heat map colors, so we don't need to worry about that too much right now. Oof. Should really up your Patreon stuff to get on the server, but then you'd worry about OCD stuff. Don't worry. How much is it to get on the server? Yeah, it's currently 15, which is... Don't worry about it. And also, you're not like obliged... Even if you do get to that point, you're not obliged to use it. Use of any of the benefits on my Patreon at the very least is completely optional, so don't worry about it. If you're able to support me, I appreciate the support, but if you're not, for whatever reason, don't worry about it. And there was a problem, looks like. Okay, what happened? Co-modification. Ah, because we're now iterating through the volume blocks every single time. Okay, That means we need a new list. So blocks to check equals volume blocks. There. Resolves that relatively easily. Has not been on the new iteration. A lot of people haven't. I have neglected it considerably, unfortunately. The pack runs so slow. We might just like shoot it back to some old vanilla-y times for a bit. Maybe we'll have it on 115 so we can have bees. Who knows? I have a lot of plans for this year. I want to be a lot more active than I've been in the past year or two. The eternal truth. Whoop. And it's immediately gone. Well, what happened that time? More commodification? Yeah, interesting. You're not adding to... Oh, I guess because we just set it as that. Right. Rather than... Ah, it's solved through my tricksy ways. Blocks to check add all volume blocks. There. Now they're definitively separate variables. It's the trouble, some variables are passed wholesale as like, here is the digit that I am storing. Other variables, and this varies depending on language and system and everything, are passed as pointers to where that data is. Which is a bit like, one is passing the contents of the box and the other is giving the box, essentially. So sometimes when you do x equals y, you now mean that x and y are equal. You don't mean changing the value of x impacts the value of y. But that's how things go strange. Bees say trans rights. They bees say a lot of things, apparently. That's what I've heard. Okay. So, let's see. We now have a very solid kind of thing. That's good. That's a good start. So we've got chunks of air now, essentially, or ice in this case, I guess that would be. So that's identifying all the spaces that are occupied by creep, as well as all of the air that they are then touching. And since that's generated after our creep, there's a little bit that we might have to be concerned with, because right now, if this was if there was an open spot, for instance, this would go infinitely, and we don't want that. But for right now, because it's contained in there, it's fine. But if I put it down there, then we would probably have issues very quickly. Then it would probably just consume the world. Let's give it a test over here. It's probably going to take quite a bit longer to do this one because there's a lot more air in there. And it's still going because it hasn't gotten that back wall yet. Yep, there it goes. Maybe I should have the rift like give off a... Oh, no, there we go. So there's all of the hive that we've identified. And we're also seeing all of the ice now, where there isn't hive. So that's, once again, basically giving us an actual map of the volumes of space. And now we need to try and identify a way to like section it off. It's not necessarily 100% clear on how we can do that, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try. Oh wait, has it gotten that? Yes, it has. Okay, good. But that is a good start, as the Spartans would say. So just clean that up. So again, we need to make sure that it doesn't just go infinitely. We need to make sure it isn't exposed to the sky when we check. So if so not get world can block see sky our neighbor, and yeah, so that will mean it can't go beyond the confines of a building, which is important. Your base is full of foxes. Ooh. I really want to get various oddities up to 114 at least, purely well, almost purely because I want to like actually make a big fox mount. Just take the existing foxes, scale up, maybe embellish the model a little bit, and then just make them rideable. Because that's a thing. I've wanted that since I saw World of Warcraft doing it, and Lord knows I'm not going to be using. No, I'm not going to do anything involving World of Warcraft. Let's find any. Always good to make your variable names descriptive. Okay, so that solves that problem. Now we need to iterate through there and check for anything that's anything that meets conditions that we would say should mark it for apoptosis. So Boolean. Actually, we could probably just found any new blocks there, can't we? So while found any new blocks. Let's just describe what we're doing here. Iterate through the list and excise any air marked for apoptosis. I'm not 100% certain if I've spelled that correctly, but it's been an age. Okay, iterate through the hive, finding all air spaces. Big fox mount sounds rad. Yeah. Let me see if I can like find an image of that fox mount because it looked glorious. There you are. Yeah, I saw this and I was immediately in love. Let me just, yeah, there you go. Just, oh, it's so pretty and I want something like it in Minecraft. I have the capacity to do so. And then they made another one as well. Like they made like an additional one that could fly and whatnot, and it looks beautiful as well. Like just, oh, let me have it. And then WoW also added like small fox characters that you could play, and I still have to resist the urge to touch their devilry. Okay, anyways, so now we also once again need ourselves, well, we basically need that startup to actually make the loop run. And at the end of that, we need to say volume blocks dot remove all that are in that list, because now we can actually iterate through there and we're not adding anything to it. So for block plus in volume blocks. Okay, so all of those, we want to count how many of their neighbors are air or creep. So, let me see here. Int tally equals 0, and then for enum facing, offset again, why not? So if not volume blocks dot contains the neighbor, which I'm just thinking, or let's see, get world is air, or is hive. In all of those cases, we want to just plus tally. Okay. And then, if tally is lower than, that's going to be a maximum of 4 points. Let's say, if it's lower than 3, then blocks to check, which I guess I could rename blocks to chuck, dot add plus And in that case, we also want to tell found any new blocks equals true. So continue doing that until we run out of anything. And then we'll find out exactly what we're left with. So we'll keep running through until it runs out of any that meet that criteria. And yeah, I'm just gonna rename that to blocks to chuck because that's what's happening here. And we don't want to add all the volume blocks to that, or else we'll lose our whole map very quickly. Okay. Render map space as space. There. Can tell a person's job by the wear on their keyboard. If they have a smooth oval in the middle of the spacebar, they know as a writer. If the WASD keys are worn out, they are a PC gamer. If the Z key is worn to farm a hole through the disk, they are an artist. And if the keyboard is on the floor in a million tiny pieces, the user is a programmer. Pretty sure I meet all of those. But such is life. Or such is my life. Master of many... Jack of many trades. Be me. Make them tameable? You wish... Oh, you wish... Well, foxes are tameable, they just don't really do much. Currently. Which is... bleh. Okay. Test the first. Let's see what it makes. Let's see what those criterion make of our initial check here. So has it cut off any rooms that we don't want cut off? Doesn't seem like it. Okay, so that part looks good. It's kept this section here as a contiguous chunk. Okay, and now our big boy test. I'm not sure what we'll call that. We'll call this one, but here we go. There's another test that we need to actually, like, in very similar vein to how the problems are occurring with sky access in, like, the Nether and such. There's another one related to how we deal with non-full blocks that are also your flooring, namely carpet, because that's a thing I haven't identified yet. Okay. So has this cut out any space here at all is the next question. Does not seem like it, does it? I might have done a little bit up here. So yeah, we gotta maybe dial that up, say 4. Need to have at least 4 sides covered. Bear in mind, the number of values here is 6, so that's the theoretical high point it should be. If the A, S, D, F, G, H, J, K, L keys are worn out, the user key smashes. Yeah, that entire middle row. Your cat doesn't walk on your keyboard? Interesting. Is your keyboard metal, by chance? So anything that's fully or like mostly enclosed should still remain, but things that have like a missing side should end up being cold. That's what we're looking for here. If we have to balance this very carefully, because if we go too far, what we'll actually end up with is just the entire thing being destroyed. Sticky one? Just lie on the side of it? Okay. Yeah, I imagine that this is a pretty niche, like, location for sharing jokes. Okay. Does seem to have broken these off. What's our conditions? If it's hive or if it's hive or air. Or not air, rather. Okay. This would probably be the point where I actually want to change that. Where I benefit considerably from just having it be 100% already. From having just all be ice, but for right now. This one takes forever to do. There's actually less going on in this, but it's significantly bigger than that. Okay, and the ice. There we are. Okay, now has it identified sections? Doesn't look like it, does it? Remarkably, it hasn't even removed this edge, which it probably should have by all rights. Okay, let's switch off the hive, like heat map, and see what we can see a bit better. I'm just gonna actually dump that into a function so I can just not use it. Oh. Have I heard of Minecraft SMP Earth? I have not. Is it like on an Earth map or what? So let's see what that little change has done for us, at least in terms of visibility. Doing an SMP with a 3000 to 1 scale of the Earth. Ah, so yes, basically. No, I have not heard of that. Okay, so that's what we had before. Or that's what it's generated before. Let's see what we get this time. Bartley, I've got my own plans, sorry. Oh no, Burr's making jokes. A C, an E flat, and a G walk into a bar. The bartender says, sorry, but we don't serve minors. SMP is survival multiplayer, Marsh. Just most multiplayer servers. I'm surprised it didn't identify that as something that's not worth having. It doesn't have any neighbors. Which suggests the code might be a bit wonky. Let's just have a look at this while that's generating then. Now what we should see in a building like this is basically exactly as many spaces as we have rooms. Like in the main structure. This should definitely... I suppose they are enclosed, like enclosed points, so they probably should stay there. They're just not useful space is the problem. Okay. Yeah, this hasn't trimmed anything out by the looks of it. So we need to change our requirements then. Okay. Our conditions for things that should be rendered out of our well, things that should be chucked, in short. So, if we contain the neighbor, or it's an air block in the neighbor point, or it's height. I wonder if that's the part that it's got trouble with currently. If we don't contain it. I wonder if that's the problem. Let's turn that to if we do, and see if that resolves it. I have a feeling that's just gonna make this be a complete mess, but let's find out. What else are you gonna do with them besides tell jokes? Yeah, fair point. Channel points are an interesting addition by Twitch. And now there's the hype train and everything. Hype train's a very strange one. It's like they're trying to automate the thing that streamers are kind of supposed to be handling by themselves, but on the one hand, greater automation, on the other hand, automation that you didn't have a hand in, so it's not really personalized in any fashion. Not sure which I prefer. Could add a hydration bot? I don't think we need a hydration bot. I'm sitting here drinking tea anyways. Okay, get these going. Let's see what they come up with. That does look different now, doesn't it? Yeah, it's clipped these off. I wonder why it managed to clip this off, but not these. That's interesting. It's definitely altered it. What we're looking for really is to see this big chunk divested into 4 different rooms. It's just a matter of determining under what conditions that happens. So let me see here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sides, 2 missing. So if it's lower than or equal to 4, I guess, lower than 5. That will most probably not carry over directly to the code, so we do need to reboot. There's another question of how many neighboring blocks are there that we can track, I guess, but this I'm expecting to be horrible. Let's find out. But we will most likely have to find that out after my break, because it's currently 1 minute here. So yeah, don't forget line sticks. I'm remembering that staring at code for 3 hours at a time is very unhealthy, even with these glasses. So yeah, I'll boot this up and then we will see what it has produced in the morrow. If you can think of a pun, you can make it a Valentine's card. Special time is a 45-minute period of time every day when we spend time together. Oh, that's adorable. Okay, see you in 10 minutes, everybody. I'll clean up while we're out. Welcome back, everybody. So just before we left off there, we'd set up for a new test to see how this does. So let's give it a whirl and see how it does with our medium-sized test. Results. Ah, there we go. Okay. Still got our... Yeah, we've still got basically our rooms there. A little funky, maybe. We can maybe tidy that up a little bit. But not too bad. Okay. And if we have the other one... This will take a while. So give it a mo. Might as well clean up just while I'm waiting. Yep, just getting the back wall. Yo. Did occur to me during the break, I don't actually have anything for dinner tonight. Because it's Fuzz's night, but Fuzz hasn't been able to leave the building in like 2 days. Nice. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Less than or equal to 4 should get removed. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, still want to keep those for some reason. Tally equals 0. Gets incremented. Tally is less than or equal to 4. Chuck it. So we shouldn't have any block that has less than 4. How very curious. I wonder how those are surviving then. Like, it should just be continually going through them. Change it to that. Are we gonna see a change, maybe? Let's find out. Let's clean that up and find out later. Do I have to take a nap or something? That's okay. Enjoy slip. Also tempted to cut off these rooms here just so that we actually can generate this a bit faster. In fact, why don't we just do that? Actually not certain if this will definitively prevent the hive from getting in here, but oh well, it's worth a shot. Reboot. Let's just strike these so I can see a bit more what's going on. I swear the cold is not doing great to my joints. Okay. Will the hive still get into there? I don't know. Because it might actually be able to go through the bars. Nope, looks like it's not able to go through the bars. Hooray! Oh, nope, it totally can. Dang it! You actually want some food coloring, the doctor says you're okay, but you feel like you died a little inside. Rowan, I'm disappointed. Okay, let's see what we've produced up here. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Like, we're not getting stuff there, but it looks like it's only going for one loop. I wonder if I've hecked up the algorithm a bit. Let's find out. So found any new blocks? Yes, good. It's always getting set back. And at the end of every loop, it's almost a chuck. Okay, good. So let's reduce it to just those conditions. If it's an air block at the neighbor, or it's hive. And see what what that results in. I'm guessing still eventually awfulness, but only one way to find out. Every time it loops, it's removing that list of blocks from our volume blocks, which are then the thing we're rendering out, so we're not getting any kind of false positives. Ooh. Which is currently a circle of big fluffy ears. Deceptively friend-shaped. Pretty sure we don't have anything to eat tonight, really. Anything we could eat, I'd have to, like, defrost and then cook. Okay, so we're like... Nope, still likes that. Okay, so it has changed, right? While we wait for
Player
that,
has joined the game.
Sada, hello. Okay, so let's say that's our block. We want to allow that, which has 3 neighbors, but not allow stuff like that, which would have at most 4 neighbors. Curious indeed. We could try building a map. That way we don't have to go through once, like, a couple of times, really. So, to that end, let's change this to a map. Block position to integer. And now we actually have to go through and clip, don't we? Let's maybe not do that. Not with just the volume blocks anyways. But we do want to try and generate ourselves a map down here. We'll be calling this one volume map. The fascinating thing is that nature just does this. Nature just goes through all of this, no problem. Okay. So everything with 4 or fewer neighbors that we can identify should go bye-bye. You think which would like the Scritch? You're welcome to try. I guess the main... We need to try and figure out what the criteria are exactly. Either it's a solid block or... Where's the thing I'm looking for? Yep, there you are. Just clear that out. Because the Rift actually remembers where all its blocks are. It's just generating that heat map every time we go through it. I don't know. Very, very interesting. How are we still ending up with that? Am I being a dunce? Am I forgetting something? Am I forgetting something quite dramatic? Because what it feels like is that that's not actually removing them. That's what it feels like right now. So it creates the list, it goes through, else found any blocks. Goes through the list, checks them all. Volume map should maintain a full list of everything that we have anyways, so that should be okay. Okay. It might be worth me actually just dropping back into the heat map section so I can see exactly what we're reading. The longest word in English. Smiles, because there are miles. I mean, the longest word that I'm aware of is anti-disapparentarianism, which I can spell, but I'd need to look at what I'm writing down because it's so long. Forgotten how their hair goes. It is a bang on the left-hand side of their face and a ponytail. Which is to say more or less how my hair looks in this camera, because I'm mirrored. Let's go wait for that to come back online, I think. Or just give it an update, I guess. It's based on random timing, so it can be a while. Or has it actually discovered that it's not got anything? There's the question. Let's find out by running another test. Our survey says... Yep, it's looking like our rules have erased everything. Okay, that's a positive start because it means we actually have rules that are affecting the outcome. Say greater than 3 is what we're looking for. So yeah, it looks like it was just not really able to add them. I get a distinct impression that we're like a hair away from figuring this out. Just a tiny, tiny hair away from actually having this work. But these whole things are an experiment for me. I've never done anything like these, so consequently it is entirely plausible if it takes me forever to figure them out. No? No? I should really put in a thing when it changes face. Okay, so yeah, looks like we still got problems. Oh, okay. We can check whether we contain those blocks. Like, we already know what they are. We're generating a full, like, chunk. So then I guess we could try just checking if we contain them? That might actually be better. Because we're just doing validation there over and over, that might be it. Hey, Ken. And the server's just as rainy as the night outside. Yeah. We had some dreadful winds not so long ago. Apparently there was a storm battering like the left-hand side of England. And also, of course, the entirety of Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic. So, hope they're okay. Hope they're okay. I quite definitely have relatives over there. I hope they're okay. Don't know them, but they're quite definitely there. Okay, now I actually have like code that reads out when it gets to a different phase, so I'll know whether or not it's like still working on one. Actually, let's clear the whole thing out because we're currently spread across pre-existing hive. Okay, moving to phase 2, 1 and 0. And heckle. Okay. So yeah, looks like looks like maybe we haven't so much changed things as broken them. Iterate through them, get a tally. If the tally is greater than 3, then we add everything. Greater than or equal to 3? See if that changes. Our keyboard's done something weird. Mine keeps, I swear mine keeps skipping over the A. But its far greater problem is that the sound control buttons are aging, and so occasionally the volume up button on my keyboard will just slam on, which means it's just constantly pressing, which then creates some problems when you're trying to do anything else because it skips over calls and such. It's like, it's fine, because I usually run at max volume anyways, as far as the system's concerned. Like, the stuff going to the speakers is always at max volume. The speakers themselves are actually dialed down to like 20% or something. So whenever it tries to max volume, it thinks it's already at max volume. But it's still trying to mash that. Phase 2, phase 1, 0. Interesting, interesting. What do we say greater than 0 then? I wonder if that's a problem. Yeah, I probably need to get a new keyboard. I think there might be one on the Fox 10 fixings list, if anyone's interested, but I haven't checked it in a while. Okay, come on. I feel like number of blocks is less of a useful metric for us here than we're actually treating it as. Oh dear, Marsh. I know exactly what that means. Oh, I'm an idiot. I see why this is failing. It's because we're iterating over a list that we've just cleared. It should be that. That's why. Okay. Don't mind me, everybody. I program for a living. This is also why it's important to take breaks while programming, because eventually all the code looks the same. It's just reduced to a homogeneous mesh, so you can't actually read it. So yeah, it was getting to this line, clearing it, and then it was done, so I didn't have anything to draw. You don't have to worry about layers, use your paper and pencil. I mean, that's fine. That's perfectly valid. Traditional art is just as valid as digital, and vice versa. Okay, now we actually have stuff. Hooray! And since that wasn't there when we logged out, we can presume it's actually been added. But let's just erase it. So we get fresh stuff, make sure. So has that gotten rid of little outliers? It's gotten rid of that little outlier that was over there. Okay. Now I think it's working. So now we want to check for... Yeah, it can't get over there, so that's fine. That's good. Now, anything that has less than 5. Not 85. Nothing can have 85. That's impossible. And that will hopefully change the shape without just destroying it. I wonder how long that's been the case. Like, has it actually been working when we were using it in the same way before, or is it just now broken? Ugh. Who knows? But yeah, like things in the wall that are just on the outside edge also only have 4 blocks. Because there's only 5 in these. There's only 5 values here. If one of them's missing, that's 4. So we need to change. We need to alter how this is working. And I feel like that's had enough time to generate. And since it's on a loop, once it removes one of them, it starts to break down entirely. It starts to get rid of the whole thing. And yeah, it looks like it's just removing the entire thing now. Okay. So yeah, we need to like actually figure out how we want to identify these things. Either we contain it or get well, this air block. Neighbor. That should prevent things on the solids going away. Ish. So then the only things that'll go away should be the air blocks that don't have one. Oh wait, no, because they'll have solid edges as well. Ah, this is tricky. This is very tricky. Let's put this up, go into a test world, and see if we can identify the casing, essentially, that we're looking for here. So the first check is definitely, do we have fewer than 5 faces? That's a start. We need to figure out those valleys, essentially. We need to identify what, like, where does that happen? It pretty much exclusively happens at doorways. Like, that's true of all architecture, essentially. Even just the architecture over here, which is just the doors are 2x1s. Like, if we actually go into this one, we don't have the 2x1 doors, but we do have the archways. Or we would if we could see them, but they're hidden by the creep right now. So those are indicative of doorways, of passageways. We're trying to figure out how to we're essentially trying to figure out how to identify what our brain does naturally. So let's see here. Let's just say we got some of that. And we got ourselves a door. A space like a door. Just like that. So here, trying to think here, how do we... What's the best way to identify this exactly? Here on a Minecraft stream, we're actually playing Minecraft now, essentially. Okay. Very incredibly simple door. So we fill it up with hive. Presume that we don't fill in through there, so yeah. Right. So now we've got that. How do we identify that hive right there? Okay, hang on. Stained glass, H2. I actually haven't eaten very much, I'm getting hungry. Cam, as a question, when was the last time you cleaned your keyboard? Because as a human interface, it requires cleaning. Because humans are naturally quite messy creatures. Whether we try to be or not. Okay. So let's say we got that. What distinguishes the blocks in that archway from the rest of the blocks around them? Let's try using the heat map to our advantage here a little bit. Eyes are not your friend. Aww. That should hopefully give us a bit more view. We could no, that wouldn't work. I was about to say we could give them a generation number. So, the way that we currently work is that we start at the hive on the outside edges with like a value of 0. Let's say we add all the air next to them, we add that of like a value of 1. We keep going. And if we add it from more than one spot, we'd then like mark it as apoptosis, but that wouldn't work actually. If we were radiating outwards, it would work, but not so much otherwise. We could start from when it radiates outward. Find the highest generation value. That's interesting. If it's just a solid purple... Let's see, is that purple? That is... purple, yes. Then it's all reading as 5. Every single block there is reading as 5 neighbors. Either blocks to chuck contains the neighbor, or it's not an air block at that point. Right. That's less helpful than I was expecting it would be. Made Witch into Homestuck? Oh god, why? Why would you do this to me, Dusty? I don't even know much about Homestuck, so I'll have to say, like, at least put him in, like, bleh category, but I can't actually, I don't know what the, like, colors or anything mean. Or, like, the, like, Wizards of Space or whatever it is. It's like, I don't know any of that at all. I have never been into Homestuck in the slightest bit. I know that if you put like candy corns on somebody's head and give them a grey complexion and black hair, they're a troll, but I don't know what that means beyond that. There we go. Okay, that's more useful data. So what are we seeing? Okay, so black, like that, we definitely want to just get rid of the black ones. We can definitely call those quite happily. But here we see pinks, purple, like a little bit of magenta there, I think that is. Yeah. Whites as well. It's like it's this seam, essentially, we want to get rid of. But how would we identify that programmatically? If it's got points on opposing sides, maybe, but it's missing one. It's like, that's the main thing here. Go get Tev for, like, Homestuck lore? You want to bring Tev over here into my good Christian programming stream to, like, talk about programming lore. Okay, yeah, let's go through the axes. Instead of going through the facing, let's go through the axes and identify if we have blocks like this on both sides. Is there a way I can just apply this? That's the question. Don't think so. Maybe we may have to just do this manually. So let's see. Or alternatively, we can use the axis and ask that with a map. So for that, it would be enum facing dot axis integer axis check hash map. Need to get the axis here. Okay, and then tally would just equal the number of axis checkpoints that are equal to 2. Let's see. Is there a way I can just scan that? Nope. Okay. So if... Oh, thank you for that, Dusty. I'd say it'd be equaling 1 then. Phew, 5 gift subs. Are you in the, like... Well, that's interesting, because according to the view here, you're actually on 2nd place to Nick. So, I'm presuming that just hasn't updated. Okay, so now it's looking for the number of paired axes. But I feel like that's probably gonna fail here. But for right now, we're not removing anything, we're just asking it that question. So 0, 1, 2, and 3 should be the ones I can check. Oh, 5 gift subs overall. Oh, so it's only 1 this month. Gotcha. You'd think Twitch would actually, like, update that, but oh well. Hey, Aspa. Yes, we kind of have Carol's arm and leg over here. Positively finished. I wonder if I can afford to take it tonight. Hill. Yeah, I had to shell out for like 4 new rose forms this month, so I'm not very heavy on the ground. Dusty! Again, thank you! So they used to make noises, but oh well. Okay, does axis count give us some kind of idea? Kind of. Kind of. That's outlining it, which is a start, but if we just used that data, then we would just progressively diminish the whole thing. I think. Because if we take away that, then this no longer meets... this now has 0 again, so it just continues in. There has to be some way of doing this. Oh, this is indeed a puzzle, isn't it? So that right there is for his 2 out of 3, so it's this way and this way, but not this horizontal way. This is none, because it only has them on those sides. It also says which would be a Witch of Rage in Homestuck. Don't know what that means, but there it is. Okay. I don't think there's a way for us to actually, like, identify this in, like, deeper in. We have to start from the outside. We can't assign it based on contact with solid blocks, or else we'll just go from the outside. We'll just remove the entire outer layer again. There must be some property, like some conditional, that we can apply to this, like, row right here. What are the conditions of that? Right there. If we only have one axis, is that it? I mean, deeper in, of course, they have more than one, that's the problem. But if we took out the outer layer, then they would gradually decrease. So do we just get rid of everything that only has one complete axis? That's still going to get rid of these. One complete axis and something here. Four or fewer connectors, maybe? If we combine the criterions. Anyways, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. Should probably go like order some food, shouldn't I? Anyways, back momentarily. Okay, folks. Final hour of the evening. And I've got about half an hour before my pizza gets here. So, tallying it now, if we combine our previous caveats here, number of neighbors and number of complete axes, then if we say
has joined the game.
that we need to have, hi Sandy, that we need to have more than one completed axis and less than 4 neighbors, which is to say we have two of those will be on one, at least one opposite side axis, and then the other 2 are on like that way, because that's the only way that could happen essentially. Then we skip that block, but otherwise we put everything else in. Let's see what that does to our colors. What we're looking for is highlighting along the ridge lines of the roof and such. We're looking to see if we can identify arches. And we haven't. Is what we've identified here. We haven't done that in the slightest bit. Like at the very least, we should be losing this. Like that's just an open doorway. It's the small arch. I'm trying to. Colors look like a pride flag? A little bit, yeah. That's what happens when you use a color like a color list like that. How do I identify apoptotic blocks? Let's try something. I'm fairly certain it's not going to work, but let's try something. Let's see, we don't want to chuck anything here. We just really want to just generate a map. In fact, we actually pretty much want to get all of the maps, so just code that out. Create our volume map up here. Heat. Go. And at the end of each loop, plus heat. Okay. And since we haven't got a check, we haven't got anything there that says that that's can't be that, then, well, that says that it has to be inside that value, then let's make sure we do that. Essentially, I'm turning this into a heat map that goes in. So, we see the interior space that should move towards warmer colors. And that should mean that we can identify the focal points. The areas with the most space. Because every successive generation of the air blocks should be a warmer color. So let's, again, I don't think that's going to work, but let's find out. Let's clean this up. It's not happy with me, but let's clean it up. Okay, so there's a bunch of black, because that's just generation 0 right there. I wonder what happened here. What happened there exactly? curious shape. Is that just from me, I wonder? Is that just from me being a dunce? Let's reset it entirely and find out. Hello, tiny statue. Okay. Entirely black. Interesting. What's our things here for? Can't see the sky, is an air block. Does not contain, already not already in the list. Okay, what about this one? Interesting. We're missing a lot of space here. Why haven't we found a lot of these? I wonder. This indicates we have a whole different problem. Because we should at least have a full external shell of black. But we don't. Why the tiny statue? It's probably nothing. Welcome back, Marsh. So if Flying Blocks doesn't have that, if it can't see the sky, and if it's an air block at that position, then we add it to the list. Yeah, so we should just be continuing to go until we can't find any new blocks. So why are we ending it with voids? That doesn't make sense. And we go for all the neighbors. So yes, that should be good. Continue iterating through until we find the thing, so yeah. So how are we ending up with voids? How are we ending up with things not wait, nope, hang on, I think I see it. Neighbor. It's me being a dummy again. What am I up to, Burra? I am attempting to map the internal space of a base so that we can identify different rooms when they're not necessarily separated by doors. An open plan base should be exactly as vulnerable to this hive generation as a base with 1,000 doors. With a statue? What statue? Okay. That's looking much fuller at the very least. If we go into the middle of this, we identify that there are 4 distinct separate areas in purple. Or I think that's magenta, actually. Let's find out. Magenta. Okay. Oh, and even one in purple. So if we treat that as our heat map, our map of open space, then now we should be able to identify the meeting points between them as the points at which the block is lower in temperature than all of its neighbors. Or at least the majority of its neighbors. So that one is that lower in temperature than... it's lower in temperature than that, and that, but how do we distinguish that from just being an edge? Over here, example. And also, how do we do it in a way that doesn't just say like use the hottest temperature, like here? Because that's not going to be the same. Like here it's 4 things, but here it might not even be 1. Like the highest we got here is 2, because this is a small base, whereas that's a bigger one. But I think that is actually useful information, nonetheless. I wonder how... I guess we hadn't gone to the ceiling? Yeah, I think that's that. Because it goes pretty high temperature here. Like it transitions from... What am I in here? Pink? Oh, okay. Yeah, white to pink, I think is the way this color scale goes. Okay. So how do we deal with this? Can I just, real quick, hopefully, build something a little easier to map than my big ambitious things here? Something really incredibly simple. And see what kind of pattern this produces. A starter Minecraft player frequently builds things in cubes, whereas a more experienced one builds them in circles. Which I guess is just more muscle memory than anything else. When we get this system working, it's going to be gorgeous. Well, not unlike the procedural generator, but it's just a matter of actually getting there. Like here we have basically two separate things. The procedural rift generator has to identify how to construct a how to construct a space based on the fact that there's nothing built there originally. This one has to actually work within space. that's already there. Like, it has to identify regions and zones and all sorts that are actually useful to it. Okay, we should be fine to just plonk that there. Okay, so here, because the arches are so small, it just identified as black. We could ask it if it is cooler than both blocks on the opposite side of an axis. So let's try that. There's an axis upon which both blocks are known, but it is cooler than them both. So, okay. Oh, one moment, I realized my pizza arriving. Right, pardon that interruption. So, what we are looking for is... Let's see, we need to map the axes, and then we need to get the blocks on either side, and if it's lower than the heat at that position, then... Well, if it's lower than the heat at that position, and we have those blocks. This might be easier to just write it out entirely. So, right, Boolean. X-axis equals true. So, let's see, if volume blocks dot contains pass dot offset enum facing dot north and volume blocks contains pos.offset, facing south. Okay, so int heat at north equals, was it volume map? Yes, volume map dot get pos.offset to the north. Actually, I don't even need to type that. I can actually just use that because that exists. What's the flavor of pizza? Meatalicious. Okay, so we need the heat. So if heat at is lower than heat at n, and heat at is lower than heat at s, then x-axis equals false. Okay. Do I even really want to bother with the y-axis? Because you're probably only gonna get these at one side. Watched some of my vids when I was playing Minecraft and learning Japanese. Oof. Wow, it's going back a ways, Nimble. Got a question? Shoot. I'm here. Okay, so if not x-axis or not z-axis, then found any new blocks equals true. And the blocks to chuck at this position, because we've identified that it's cooling down. Well, I'd be willing to test your mod pack. I do not have enough time in the day, I'm afraid. Okay, and then volume blocks. Dot remove all blocks to chuck. There. Yeah, sorry, Nimble. But yeah, I don't have... I barely have time in the day to test my own projects. Okay. So if it's missing one, then we don't care, but if it's got both, then we need to see if it's cooler than both sides. Which should indicate points between points of heat. Let's see what that gives us. Here's hoping, everybody, because this is probably like the last major thing I can test tonight. I think the increasing heat away from the walls is a good measure. I think that works. That's good. It's just a question of whether or not we can actually use it properly. So let's clean up the maps that we've got here, because it's a lot easier than restarting the entire simulations. Okay, what we're looking for is chunks separated by spaces in between them. Hopefully. Am I inside of it? I'm in white glass here. Okay. That that didn't quite work. I mean, that should... Like, what axis is this? This is the Z-axis. Here we have gray next to white. Oh, I guess that was probably it. If it doesn't equal it on both sides, maybe? That could just be bad, though. Well, let's give it a shot. It's an easy thing to like twist. Let's see. I'm facing north. I'm trying to remember, is that the positive? North is negative, okay. Okay, yep, that looks all good. Fingers crossed. Because I fear this is gonna remove a lot. I think this is a positive step at the very least. It might take me longer to actually get it fully functional, but I think this is a positive test. I should really just be telling it to actually place some concrete or something distinctive whenever it places that. That'll make it a lot easier to see. So everything that we identify as apoptotic, we place just stone. That'll tell us if it's actually hitting anything. Ew, come on, come on. This is very much a science that we're looking for here. Give it a moment to rerun. And I actually don't see anything. could try limiting the search to be the horizontals. That might work better, because it might just be part of the heat map. That might mean this fails on for big vertical bases, but how many people make big vertical bases? I'm not even sure how you'd make a big vertical base. Especially without floors. A big vertical base without floors, it's just a pit, isn't it? At that point, you're just living off of a jetpack. Oh, come on. Let's get lucky here. That has changed a fair bit. I actually got some green in the middle here. Ooh, wow. Green's really high value. So now we have a bit of purple here in between. And yeah, we can kind of see a bit more of the actual leveling here. But I'm still not really seeing anything. Still not really seeing anything that we could easily distinguish. Okay. We're so close. I swear. I swear we are so close. Oh, east and west are the x-axis. I wonder if that's the problem. I mean, it shouldn't be. We're not actually asking for anything on them, but who knows? East and west are the x-axis. North and south are the z-axis. Whoops. The words you didn't want to see? Oh. Blood Moon Rising. Oof, inevitability. I change it to greater than, maybe? As long as it's like that. Hmm. Oh, come on. Can we get this working? The most annoying part really is the fact that we have to have that visualization, because there's not really any way that you can identify this purely based on text. Like, you have to have some kind of visualization for it. Spent like 20 minutes looking for something about your computer, then realized you still had the box for it, and you can just look there. Oh, was it in the box, Dusty? Was it in the box? Indeed, Dusty, what is in the box? Rubs hands nervously, and also cold. It was in the box. Congrats. So if it's hotter than either of the blocks on either side of it, then it should... It should read itself as being, like, apoptotic. Weep. Big lag, because lots going on. Interesting. If it's lower than both of them, or higher than both of them, perhaps? Would that indicate it? Like, we can definitely see the makings here. Like, right there. There's Mark 1 for us. Because that is lower in temperature than both of the blocks on that axis. Like, that should pretty clearly identify midpoints. It should. But let's find out. Oh, hang on, I might see a problem. I might see why this isn't doing what we think it should. It's because we're reading the map and not the blocks. So if it is putting anything in there, it's probably just overriding it. Okay, right, that might be me being an idiot, but we might get lucky in the last 10 minutes of the stream. Yeah, but essentially what we're looking for with this is collision points. Points where the heat is clashing against one another. meaning it's either getting hotter there because it was a successive generation, or colder because it's like in there. But hopefully, come on, come on. We can do this. I know this is a thing we can accomplish. And later on, I'll probably just like generate part of a cave system and see how it deals with that. Hello. Okay, it's a little wonky. It's a little wonky, but we do have lines drawn. That's not nothing. Yes. Okay. Good. How about over here? Anything like that drawn over here? Oh, stuff like that's drawn all over here. Okay, so it needs refinement. But is it a full thing? It is. It is a full thing. Okay. That's good. That's positive. Okay. Grand. That's a start. We've created, like, divisions. That's a start. Okay. Right, well, I don't think I'm gonna get too much better for the time being tonight, so that will probably have to be it for now. We are so close to properly identifying the apoptotic blocks. So close, so close. Like, if we... I'm thinking. Not sure exactly what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking it, that's for sure. I wonder what's causing... I can only presume that's just the shape of the room is causing the ones that are going into the room. If we switch it back to full 3D heat, rather than layer by layer 2D heat, let's see what that changes for us. Sometimes the like tiniest of little changes will change the whole thing, change the outcome dramatically. Oh. Well, we no longer have them sticking out, but we also don't have a full wall. Now we have some up here, which should also not be doing that. Ooh, yeah, that's not quite right. So I think it's how I'm defining the comparison, but apoptosis does appear to be on the horizon here. Try spreading the apoptosis, but that might not work out as well as I'd like. Because we first need to actually make sure it only appears on these borders, and not up here, and such. But that's good. Look at that, it's meeting right where it should, except for a few other places where it shouldn't be. Yeah, that's really good. That's positive. Woohoo! So clearly it's still got some problems, There's still some stuff we need to figure out, but we're really close now. Yeah, it's just all sorts of messing up here. I should maybe explain here. Why are we looking for the apoptotic blocks? To separate the divisions inside of space. So we identify the hotspots, the areas with the most open space, and then we identify the parts where the cooling effect essentially reverses, so where it collides with other things, namely about here and whatnot. So if you have a big open plan room, such as this particular structure, where there's no obvious, like, intentional doorways and such, then the hive is able to nonetheless subdivide it into additional spaces. Whereas over here, we identified it just by having just by having the areas be broken up by doors. Because we want these two different styles of building, where there are doors and where there are no doors, to be just as useful to the hive. The hive needs to be able to use its space intelligently. And we are very, very close. But we are going to have some more work to do next week. I'll probably tinker a little bit on this during the week, but you'll see more about what we get up to in the next one. But other than that, hope you've all enjoyed. My next stream is on a Thursday night, and there'll be some more midnight hunting with Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Watch me get slapped in the face over and over by a fish. And then on Friday we have some Dead by Daylight at 9, where we're going to be just running around and see what we can get, more or less, because I need to grind some blood points. And then on Saturday at 7 we have some more Dungeons and Dragon hats, where we re-enter the dungeon, with the carousel, of course, at 9 after that. And we'll be back for more of this on Tuesday. Meanwhile, I do make videos over youtube.com/remembercomic. It's in the banner, if you need to remember that. And everything I do is powered by wonderful people like you, who enjoy watching me fail on stream over and over and over again, apparently, at Patreon, at patreon.com/lying. Hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all as ever next time.